Here we are coding our sonogram. So the basics are the ultrasound emits a signal, so we're going to need to tell the computer what that wave speed is, which is 20 centimeters per millisecond. And then it's as simple as the computer waits for a reflection to come back. So we're going to need to tell it what time that reflection comes back and assign it a number. Giving an analog signal a number is called digitizing it. And so the bigger the reflection, the bigger the number we'll give it. Numbers like 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to have to program the computer to output the depth so it knows how deep that signal came from. And then we're going to lastly turn it into something we can see, which is why we call it a sonogram. Sound into picturegram. Just like Instagram instantly shows pictures. So let's get started. So again, just to review, we got to turn this 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000. So we got to tell the computer it took 3 milliseconds for the wave to be emitted and then bounce back off the front of the kidney. We ultimately want to turn that, just the time it takes for a reflection, into a picture we can see like this. And so we have 8 lines of scanning that we're doing, and so we're just going to go by each millisecond. So now we're going to need to program Google Sheets. So we're in here, and again, we need to tell it the wave speed. So I'm going to go ahead and write wave speed here equals, I'm going to tell it 20, and I'm putting in just the number in B, and then I'll put milliseconds. Centimeters per millisecond. All right, and then we have all those lines. Line 1, line 2. Now I don't want to enter all these by hand, so I'm going to go grab both of them, go over to that corner. Oh, I need one more. And then I also need to tell it the time. So I'm going to just slide these down one and tell it time. Milliseconds. And then 0.1, 0.2, and I'm going to do the same trick of dragging since I don't want to. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now these are getting way too wide, so I'm going to select everything, go between B and C, and shrink it down till it's a nice square. And now I need to go click back on 1 and make it appropriately sized. And I'm going to right justify it. Actually, I want to do that to the whole column. So I'm going to select the column and right justify. Great. So now, again, going back to our signal, nothing happened at, oh, this was an input, so I do actually want to go back and color code that yellow to draw people's attention. And these are all going to be inputs. We're going to input them line by line, so I will change this yellow to tell the human to do this. And of course, in a real ultrasound, this would be all done by computers. All right. Now we would put this in. So I would look at my image or my signal here, and I'm seeing at 0.1 seconds, there's no reflection. So that's going to correspond to a value of 0, 0, pretty easy. And I might not want to, once I know it's all zeros, I might just drag down the 0. Okay. Now, we actually want to turn this into a picture. So I'm going to have that picture, and each one of these pixels over here corresponds to a pixel in the picture. So I'm going to go over to M and just set it equal to B. So the value here is the same as the value there. Now I need to do that for all 8. And I realize that I need to extend this by 1. But this is the nice thing about this. Oh, change that to 0.8. And now I've done that over here. Okay, and since I've set those cells equal to each other, now I do need to tell it depth equals. And I got to code it. So let's what's going on here. So I'm going to right justify this one so it doesn't overcrowd my one. I got to tell it what depth is this at. Well, it took 0.1 milliseconds, and we know we can calculate the distance traveled by the speed times the time it took for the reflection to get back. But then we got to divide by 2 because the distance traveled is there and back. So the depth is just half of that. So go ahead and program that in. And then we will, of course, program that in and then drag it across for all 8. And then lastly, we just need to conditionally format these 8 cells. So we're going to go over here and go to Format and do conditional formatting. We want to color scale. So I'm going to pick on color scale. And I want to actually do minimum value is black. There's no reflection, and the maximum value is white. So I'm going to go ahead and hit done.
Anyway, thank you.
And so these ones are actually white. And just to test it, I know that right here I had a reflection of 1. So let me make sure it pops up 1 and it stays white. So that's good. And these turned black because they are relatively small reflection compared to this one. Right, well, once I complete all my entry for the numbers, this will turn into our sonogram.